Thank you all for tuning in. I'm Selena Marche, and this is You Plus Happy. Each week, I bring you someone who challenges us to define happiness and success on their own terms with a dose of laughter. Remember to subscribe to the You Plus Happy YouTube channel. It's very helpful. I really appreciate it. Tell your friends to subscribe. Very helpful. And follow us on Instagram at You Plus Happy. I'm a little out of breath, y'all, because we were just dancing. Okay, I'm gonna get us together.
I'm crying now. Hold on.
Today we have writer and producer Soqi here, who is also a mom of 8. We'll get into that. She is the creator of the stage play Deliver Our Mail, MALE, which will be one night only, so don't miss it, at Clayton County Performance Arts Center on Saturday, August 24th at 4 p.m. And you can get your ticket at Deliver Our Mail, MALE, like men, eventbrite.com, which will be in the show notes as well. So you can get that info there. And we have 2 guests, y'all. This is a first in person of 2 guests. We have Shauna, who you've met if you've been following the show. She had her own episode, so you can go back and watch that full episode, which was amazing. But she's back. That's why she's back, because it was great. And she's an actress, and she does a whole lot more. But we'll get into that as well. But she's also an actress in Deliver Our Mail. So welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. All right, I'm jumping right in.
Okay. Let's go.
How did you get started?
Ooh, let's see. How do I make that long story short? I can tell you that the passion has always been there. It actually started with me having a little bit of hardship in life at one point, and I decided to start going to church. And in the ministry, I ended up joining the drama ministry because I wanted to keep myself busy. That's what I thought. I was just going to keep myself busy. Once I got into the drama ministry, I just started noticing the love and the passion that I developed for it. The minister of that particular program was like, you're a natural. Like, this is something you should do. So it started out with me going into acting. And I enjoyed it very much. I started doing acting outside of ministry. And just the roar of the crowd just really got me going, got my juices flowing. And so at one point, after doing so many stage productions, it just hit me to want to do my own. I was home one day and I just decided it just hit my spirit all of a sudden to just start writing. And I felt like it was divine, and I felt like it was my purpose because of how it had come to me. Because the play is about a man. I'm not a man, but the writing, gave a great description to where men can really relate to it.
Yeah. So it came to you. It wasn't something you had to conjure up yourself.
Right. It was not something I conjured up myself.
Right.
It came to me, like you said.
So, all right, you started with acting.
Correct.
But then the writing called you.
The writing called me, and just to give a little deeper explanation on that, it all started connecting. All the dots started connecting when I thought back when I was in high school. And instead of completing my test, I was writing. And so the teacher's like, what we got going on back there? You can come up here and read it to everybody. I'm like, huh? I'm like, now? Are you serious? I'm like, okay. But it was a poem.
Okay.
And so I had written a poem, and by the time I finished reading the poem, even the teacher was like, wow, like that was, amazing. So she connected me with one of our arts teachers.
Wow.
And they ended up putting me into, as a extracurricular class, what do you call it? The performing arts at the school. I can't think of the...
Like after school kind of thing?
No, actually it was during school.
Creative writing?
It was like, yes, one of my specials. Okay. And theater was one of the programs that I ended up being placed into just because of the connection. So it's like when I started doing theater in church, the dots started connecting. And when I started writing, I was like, this was meant, because I've been doing this for a while without even realizing that was my purpose, if that makes sense.
It comes to you so natural. You know what I mean? Like that thing that calls you. you don't even think about it.
Right.
Because I used to, when I was doodling in class, like you,
Mhm.
well, I used to hook school all the time,
Right.
and but I would go to my creative writing class because I could write my poems, and then I would get back out into the streets. But
Loving the transparency. I love it.
I mean, it's the truth.
Hey, let's go with it.
I read this quote recently that said, "Pay attention to what you pay attention to." Like, and that really is like been sticking with me, and that's like kind of what you're saying of like now looking back, it was always there,
Right?
And it was always hovering around. What it feels like. Okay, so what is Deliver Our Mail about? I'm very curious.
Right, because the title is like,
yes,
what is that? I get it. So basically, it's about the journey of a young man who's from the streets and he's looking for redemption.
Okay.
So he's like, grew up in this gang life and this, kingpin selling drug life or whatever, but he's tired of it and he wants to be a better person.
Mm-hmm.
He has a wife and a child. They're kind of like, the wife is just like, look, you said you're going to change. I don't want to hear it, blah, blah, blah. But he's like, his last visit to jail, he just kind of like, look, I'm tired. Like, I really, and he's seeking God's help to get out of it because of the challenges.
I think we've all had moments where we might not have been literally like drug dealers or in the street life, correct, but when you're just fed up with your own shit, you're just fed up with it, and then you just like, all right, enough is enough, and I need to make a change. Yeah. I know I've been there before, so it's still a concept that I know is relatable to a lot of people because you don't have to sell drugs to get it. Like, correct. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, because we'll get there. So a lot of people have ideas, right? Mm-hmm. So I've had many ideas that don't come to fruition, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sure there are people listening who have a stage play written or halfway written, and that it's not on August 24th. Yeah. So how do you go from the idea to conception to now we're doing this, and you got folks. You got the location. So much goes into it. You got the location. You got the actors. You got the producers, the lighting, the promotion. Blah blah blah. How?
Well, the biggest thing I can say is believing in yourself. Believing enough in yourself to where whatever tries to come and distract you or take you off course is like you gotta keep going. Because believe me, this is not. What Maya Angelou says is not a crystal stair. Putting a production together is not easy. I literally wrote the production in 2012.
Wow.
I did not put the stage production on for the first time until 2017.
Okay.
And then 2017, I waited again until 2019. Then COVID happened. And at that point, I was really confused as to what to do. I'm like, I don't know, what do I do? Oh,
right.
So my phone became my good friend at that time, creating things, because it's like when you're creative, you just create, you just find things to do. And so I started creating like little kid podcast things. It's on YouTube. But anyway. But during
this is your time.
But during that time, I was not really sure what to do because everybody was locked down and having to stay home. And imagine having a home full of children. And a husband that wants to need you constantly, and it was just me still needing to push myself each time because sometimes I look to my husband like, what do you think? Do you think I should? He's like, well, whatever you want to do. I'm like, what do you think? Do you think I should go ahead and do the production? But it really took me pushing me and believing in me, believing in my own product, believing in my own writing. And really just going forward and just shutting out all the naysayers, shutting out even my internal naysay.
That part.
Yeah.
That's the hardest one.
Correct. Right.
That's the hardest one. So you let that voice comes in and you just tell it, we're not doing that.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And just keep going. That's it. It's simple, but it's not easy. Right? Just keep going. Shauna, how did you find out about the play?
So I found out about the play from Facebook.
Okay.
My algorithm. Like my algorithm be algorithming. Because I did not know Soqi. I didn't know anybody in the cast.
Yeah.
But it's that same thing that you're talking about, in the back of your head. Because I was like, should I do this? I don't know anybody on this cast. I don't know anybody who it's connected to. But I'm just gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I use that inner voice to change the energy and say, look, I'm just gonna make bold choices because I don't know her. Like, like I can walk away and I'll be fine because you know what I mean. I changed the energy, and I'm so glad I did.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because after the audition, I thanked her and the rest of her crew. Thank you for being part of my journey, because I felt like even if they didn't cast me, she was still part of my story.
Right.
Because there were internal things that I was going through that her and I had never discussed that day, the day before, the week before, and that was like my outlet. Because my particular role, I'm the main character. I'm his mom.
Okay.
So I'm Angela, and she's going through a lot of internal struggles within herself. I don't want to give too much away because you know I want y'all to see us do our thing.
Yes.
But she just deals with a lot of internal stuff that she's going through, and she puts it all on the table. And I'm hoping that through my performance and the performance of my cast members, that it allows people to realize everybody is going through something. You may not know it. So share in that kindness.
Yeah.
Share in that compassion. And don't judge.
Yeah.
Because we can all grow together.
You said a lot of things that were very important. How do you not get well, one, what drew you to the post on Facebook? Because you didn't know Soqi.
Right.
And there's a lot of stuff on Facebook.
Yeah, so there's so much.
What made her deliver? I want to say deliver us from evil, but
deliver our mail.
Deliver our mail. What drew you to that post out of all the? Because there's so much noise.
There is. So I looked at it, and first it was a gospel stage play.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, okay. So then you're delivering the message, right? There's inspiration behind it. You know, we're helping people. So immediately within there, it resonated with me. I felt like I was doing a service.
Yeah.
Right. And that made me feel good. So it kind of gave me, even though I didn't see the script, it just gave me a window to say, oh yeah, okay. And then I did see her theater company, which was referenced. And then I went to that website, and I was like, oh, she works with the kids. I love the kids. I have a kid.
Shauna love the kids.
Shauna love the kids, you know. I said, okay, all right, let's see. You know, let's see what we could do. And so I reached out to her, sent my headshot, my resume. She sent back the sides. And then I had to sing. So then I had to practice a song.
I didn't know she sung.
Yeah, so I had to practice a song, which we never talked about that. I was a reggae singer back in the day.
All right, go ahead.
So I used to open shows like when I lived in Tampa. Like I used to when all of the big reggae acts used to come to Tampa, I used to open for them.
Wow. Okay, we have to talk more about that. Okay. Yeah, you have to come back on the show. All right.
Anytime you want me. So that's what drew me to it, because there are theater auditions out there, but there's not as many.
Right.
And anytime an actress has the opportunity to do a live audition, especially since COVID, it's a plus.
Yeah.
It helps to keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
Right. So I welcomed the fact that I could get in front of people to do a live audition, that I could do a singing audition just to keep myself sharp, to keep myself on it. So all of those things, I was just like, let me just do this and have fun with it.
Yeah.
Let me just throw caution to the wind and make some bold choices. And hopefully they love me. But if they don't, as long as I'm happy,
that's right
with my performance and what I walked away with, and I did. Like I was like, okay, my voice sounded different. So, okay, and I'm a Virgo too. So there's this whole thing, this whole mechanical process that goes. I was like, my voice sounded different with those acoustics. Was that a good song choice? I'm an alto. Maybe I should have took it a little bit higher. Maybe I should have done an inspirational song, but then I didn't have that in my arsenal at the moment. Yeah. So there was all that voice that we talk about. But then I said, you know what? At the end of the day, I hit that last note. I did what I did. Right. Yeah. So, you know, it's all about just, you know, making sure that you're happy at the end of the day, because you are your own, you're your worst critic. And I never put myself in competition with anyone else. It's always me versus me. Right. Me versus me last year. Me versus me 5 years ago. That's what it is.
Yeah. And I love what you said too about, and this is kind of what you said about writing too, is being a vessel, right? I think that for me, I've been thinking about everything that I do in a way that's like I'm letting it come through me versus so it takes my ego out of it. And so of course you do all the prep work, you do your research, you want to know who you're working with, and you like that kind of the like logistic stuff, and then you put your reps in. Like, of course, I know this is not the first play you ever written, so you put your reps in before you got here. But when it's go time, I feel like I'm letting something move through me, and then I have to trust that. I did all the stuff, and now I'm just going to let it come through me. And that's what you were saying with acting and your performances. You've been practicing a legend, you know, since Tampa, and I didn't know about. And when she put those, I'm like, I gotta step my interviewing game up because I should have known this. But just like you, like I said, you're putting in the work, but then you let it come through you, right? So I feel like that's such an important part. And so, Soqi, how do you, as I mentioned in the bio, in the intro, she has 8 children. Yeah. What's your excuse?
Right. Case in point.
If you can do it, if you can figure this out, how do you do it?
Oh, well, and I'm going to answer that question, but I did want to hop on some of the things that...
Of course, you said a lot.
Mentioned. Yeah, because it really started giving me this emotional thing on the inside, you know, because just listening to her, because we have not had this conversation.
Wow, okay.
We haven't had the conversation of what brought her to Deliver Our Mail, what brought her, you know, because she's been a very intricate, like a really special piece to this. She's been, you know, very attentive. Like, it was a point in time where I had to go out of town, well, literally out of the country, because it was something I already had planned for a year. So I was like, okay, I ain't letting nothing disturb that. I'm out of here, you know. But she stepped up and just really like made me feel confident, you know, even more in my production, because, you know, sometimes when you're doing things, you feel like you just have this tendency to feel like you're alone. You know, when you're creating something, you tend to feel like you're alone because it's like, okay, it's my baby and I birthed the baby, so now I got to raise it. And I, you know, everything is just I. But then you realize it's like, oh, well, it's okay for me to give the baby to her, you know. And that's just kind of one of the things with her saying her journey to coming to the audition. And because it was actually a little while before I was able to get back to you and some others. And I kind of figured at that point, they're probably like, we didn't think you, we didn't know the play was still going to happen, you know? So those are some of the things that you do go through, is like just doing your best to stay on point, you know? With me having a house full, and I love saying it now because there, in all honesty, there was a point in time where I didn't like to tell people how many kids I had.
Okay.
You know, and it was because I was still going through those stages of diaper bags and, you know, wipes and milk and breastfeeding, you know, just the usual mom routine, you know, and I was going through my hormonal stages, is what I was trying to say, you know, like going through changes with what I wanted to do with my hair, because at one point I was not locked,
right,
you know, and I went through stages of, you know, my size, I'm just, you know, accordion this thing out, you know, it's like big here, small here, big here, you know, and so I just wasn't feeling 100% about me at that moment, because I was still allowing my body to get back to normal. because having babies back to back like that, I didn't give myself a whole lot of room to really just, after each baby, to really just feel like me.
You had 8 pregnancies.
Yes. Actually more, but yeah. Eight.
Okay. I thought maybe some, you know, you
Someone
maybe
was
were
adopted?
fostering.
Oh, no, ma'am. They all came up out of here.
Well, God bless you.
You know, yeah, most definitely. I mean, because everybody doesn't have that strength.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't have that patience. And believe me, the patience was developed over time. That was not something I was born with, was patience. No, not at all. I'm an only child between both my parents.
Wow.
So I didn't know what it was like growing up in a house full of people.
Right.
It was just me. I didn't have to share with nobody. You know, I didn't have to answer to, you know, a sibling about why they have my this and that, you know, or vice versa. I didn't have to deal with my parents, you know, trying to fight for affection between the two of them. You know, I didn't have those things. But those are things that I now, you know what I mean? Like in my own household, I have had to develop understanding of how to deal with each one of my kids, which is in some ways great too. And I have a point for this.
No, for sure.
But in some ways, it was a great development with me having my children, because dealing with production and different things of dealing with a lot of people and a lot of different personalities, I've learned just from my children that everyone's not the same.
Right.
And you cannot handle everyone the same.
Yes.
You know, and even with my mom, it will be questions like, well, how do you, you know, do you know? I'm like, Mom, I can't treat them all the same.
Yeah.
Each one of them are different. Yeah. You know, one is sensitive, one is tough, and one is, you know, comical, one is this and one is that, you know, and I have to deal with them the way that they are, you know, and meet them where they are, and try to give them the best I can of me to help them to feel better about them. And so I just noticed dealing with people and, you know, things, I do my best. I'm still human at the end of the day. So somebody ain't gonna like me.
Oh,
and that's
absolutely.
Just, you know, but there's people that also love me, you know, and then I just do my best to feed people what it is that I want in return as well. I do my best. Like I say, I keep stressing that. No, because when you're human, you don't know.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I really quickly, I wanted to go to what you said about Shauna. I haven't worked with Shauna like in the way that you have, but when I met you at the we met at a networking event a while ago, she was the facilitator, I guess, and like very kind, and I even told you that day, because she was talking about the location, and I was like, well, it's about how people treat you when you get there, and she was very welcoming and very kind. So I can only imagine what it's like for working a long period of time for months. So I wanted to shout Shauna out for that as well.
Most definitely. I'm in agreement. I'm in total agreement.
No, I was piggybacking off of what you said of what you're able to do because you have someone like that, helping you or working with you on this project.
Yeah, I mean, it's been extremely pleasant working with you, Shauna. Seriously, like I always tell her all the time, "Oh, I appreciate you so much," and I said it's probably so repetitive that I say that she's probably like, "I get it," you know. But I'm serious. Like she is like you have really been like a backbone in this production for me, you know. And I have moments where I'm like, you know, just not necessarily on task, you know. And Shauna will come in and kind of politely, well, you know, did you want me to put this down for you, or you know, do you need, you know? But she has this nice soft voice where it's not, you know, threatening or whatever, you know. Because I mean, hey, listen, I was born in Atlanta, okay, Grady Memorial Hospital, okay. So hey, I'm not always just, you know, the gentle person, you know. I'm not always that person. I'm keeping it 100. You know, I grew up in Decatur in some place, you know, and so it's like my experiences have been rough parts.
Yeah.
But I've also had the opportunity, because I feel like I'm a person that I'm not aggressive. I don't like being aggressive. I'm not, you know, I love just having, you know, moments of peace and just relaxation and things like that. But I feel like that's what she brings is that, you know, that peaceful, you know, even when she came for the audition.
Okay.
Just even her walking through the door, I felt her energy. Just like that.
Yeah. It's good energy, for sure. Yeah. For sure. And I think, and another thing that you're saying, what I'm hearing is delegating. So she gave you that feeling that you could trust her,
Yes.
but also we can't do this alone, right?
Right.
And you said something so important about how, when we create something, it does come through us, and it's like our baby, right?
Mhm.
So it is hard. It's hard to delegate in that way because this is something precious to you, right?
Yeah.
So you have to find somebody who you feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
But and I've been hearing a lot about delegation lately, and I study successful people, and they say the most successful people know how to delegate, but it is not easy.
Right.
It's easier said than done because, like, I know how to do it. I know I have my vision, and so figuring out what you can delegate, and then being discerning about who you can trust.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's
so,
major. Being discerning, that's major.
And then you talked about feeling alone. I feel like, for me, I could say for me, I've felt alone so many times on this journey. Even though I'm constantly, it's so crazy because we're constantly working with people, but you can still feel alone.
Yeah.
And so how do you combat that? And you in a house with 10 people, I'm assuming, I don't know, including yourself.
It's a good group of us. Yes,
and you can still feel alone in that.
You sure can.
So how do you combat that?
Well, great question. Yes, it's technically 9 of us. My oldest is 25.
Okay.
And so she's, on her own journey, and we chat about what she's thinking of doing and what she's, pursuing. But the rest of them are in the house, so they're still expecting mommy to guide and lead and, direct. Sometimes there are moments where I really have to pull away, and I will mention that to my husband. I'll mention that to my children. Sometimes, there's lack of understanding. Sometimes. But I always let them know, like, mommy needs a moment. Like, I really have to have a moment. And that's why the trip overseas was planned. It was actually planned with a women's group. And so, for the entire year, the plans were, we would get together. We had like, what was like a mansion event. And the lady hosting it, rather, she was like the coach or whatever, coaching us through the process of getting prepared for that. But my point going into that is that was all of us making time for ourselves, because a lot of us were mothers. Some of them were grandmothers. Some were like new moms. Some were not moms at all. But everybody had their moments, and it's like, hey, I just need to be able to have time to break away and just it be all about me. So there's times where, and I'm giving away my little secret to my family, but I will go to Panera Bread, take my computer, and that's my moment of silence. That's my moment of quiet. And I will get things done. Because I don't have any distractions coming in, pulling me away from what it is I need to do. Sometimes I'll have my quiet moments when I'm riding in my car, and I have my prayer time, because I need that. I need those prayer times where I'm like, God, it's me and you. This is how I'm feeling today. Like, I'm being 100, God. You know my heart for sure. You know what I'm going through. You know what I'm thinking. You know what I'm feeling. You know everything. So I can't keep anything from you. And I'll just go into my spiel, but then I'll go into my prayer and just say thank you. Because I've made it this far in my life with 8 children, because I have friends that could not birth one. And I've had friends that have lost children. I've had friends that have had kids, but then they had health issues after. And for me, I'm thankful for where my health is, even after birthing 8 children. I'm thankful for, who God created me to be, being able to be that creative person, because it's also in my kids, because there's times where I have my children dancing, like I do music as well, just letting you know that, and it's Soqi music. But that's a part of my writing, though. That's a part of my writing. Yes, that's a part of my writing. And it's just, I just mentioned that because of writing.
Right.
So there was a song that I had written, and it's called "Free to Be Me." And that song was like so dear to my heart that when I first put it out, I didn't know what people were gonna think. I'm like, oh, are they gonna like the song? Because here it is, I'm giving my babies to the world.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, this is what my baby looks like, and it's like, what do you think? It's like, you love my baby, so anyway, so after writing that song, and that's, Soqi music is where I got Soqi from. And as a matter of fact, Soqi means healing energy. Okay, so that's the name that I took on. And so, it was my artist, that's my artist name, my writer name, and so just when I wrote that song and I put that song out, that was me putting it in the atmosphere. And what I was talking about concerning my kids is each time I was asked to perform that song, my children were my background dancers, and I
Okay.
kept them busy with me, and it was really, in the videos on YouTube, I'm just,
Yeah,
so you can
please.
see the videos on YouTube. You can look up Soqi Music, Soqi Music, and the song is Free to Be Me. And a lot of people hear that song and really love it because of what's being said. I'm free to be me. She didn't like what I said. He didn't like what I have, but guess what? I'm free to be me.
Yeah.
And so that just is something that I felt like I just put in the atmosphere to return to me. I'm free to be who I am.
And what I hear too is like, you're able to do all that you do, which I feel like there's more, and I don't know yet, but you're because you're honoring yourself, right? So, and you're taking that quiet time to yourself, and you're figuring out how to get that done, and just whatever whatever it is that works for you. So for you, it's prayer and talking to God and you gotta go in the car, get away,
right?
Or go to Panera Bread, but you're figuring out that quiet space so that the ideas can come in and so you can stay charged to do all the things that you have to do. And I wanted to ask about, because earlier you spoke about, you didn't say losing yourself, but your body's going through a lot with having children and just life, right? Like aging, all that, like, all it, because like I don't have kids, but I'm aging, and it's hard. It's hard sometimes. It's very hard. So how did you get back to feeling like yourself? How did you get back to you?
That was another moment of me pushing very hard to believe in me. Because by me going, like you said, losing yourself, I did feel like I lost myself. I really did. I felt like I had to look around like, Soqi, where are you? I really did have to feel like I needed to go back and find me because my life was consumed with everybody else's needs. I actually just lost my grandfather, and I was caretaker for him for like the past 5 or 6 years. So I had him relying on me, my 8 children, because the 25-year-old has to be included. And then my husband, which is another person that was relying on me. And then I'm trying to rely on me, and not to mention any other thing that may come after that, got the production, so it's like, hey, in the midst of me raising children and taking care of a household, I'm looking to live out my own passion and dreams, so the hard part about that was the push was hard, but the push was necessary because that's why I started gravitating to other women and like attaching to some groups, so that I could have a sense of belonging. Go ahead.
How do you find the groups?
Literally word of mouth came to me, like my mother-in-law was a part of a women's group, and she's like, hey, I think you should come and check this out. I'm like, that's your group. Like we're 2 different generations. Like,
and we need some space.
Yeah, right.
I ain't trying to get away from y'all. Don't you understand the question? Right. Girl, I need a break.
Look, mother-in-law, I love you though. You know
no,
this, right?
I'm not saying that.
But it's the truth. It's facts.
You just need your own space sometimes.
Yes, for sure, 100. I like seriously, and that. But it took a push, and it took me because my desire was so strong that sometimes I would even go, to certain apps and I'd look for affirmation apps. Or there were times where I, and I still do, if I'm riding in the car or something and I have time by myself, I will go on YouTube or I'll go somewhere and look up like motivational videos. And I would just listen to those constantly to feed my spirit. Yeah. Because, certain people would talk about certain things that felt like, okay, I'm going through this at the moment. And it's pushing me to get out of that, because I would have those moments where I just start feeling like I was thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm just not going to do anything. This is just my life. And then after a while, I'm like, nope, no, it's not.
Yep.
No, it's not.
Yep.
I'm like, I'm getting ready to, and so, yes, like I had to do, like you say, self-talk, self-care is like started becoming very important to me. It'd be times I tell my husband, I'm like, babe, I'm sorry, but I'm heading out. I'm going to, because it would, at one point I felt guilty for even wanting to do something for me, and I had to get to a place where I was like, you know what, bump that.
Right.
I'm out, and I would go, like, even when I had a gym pass, I don't exercise. I'm not a gym guru. I don't do any of that, but I would take that time and I would go to the gym, get in the pool, get in the hot tub and I would get in the sauna.
Yeah.
That was me taking my time for me.
Yeah.
And I started doing that so much more often, to the point my family started getting used to, like, oh, mommy's probably going to the gym today. You know, and I wasn't coming home buff and, you know, six pack. But hey, I came home with a clear mind.
That's more, and those cliches are so true about filling your cup. Right?
I was just thinking,
right? Like, your thoughts swam over to me because you can't, go ahead.
I was like, no, you go. Because I was just saying that, because, you know, it's okay for your, like, not even it's okay, your cup has to be full too.
Right.
You know, it's because
you deserve it.
Yeah, because I used to think as long as everyone else is cool, I'll be cool. But then I had to realize that no, because the people around you, they look at your energy as well, and you need to be recharging each other.
Yes. My morning, no, it's so crazy because the Bible app gave me iron sharpens iron this morning.
That's what you got.
Did y'all see it?
Okay, girl.
So iron sharpens iron, which I didn't even know was in the Bible. I don't know my Bible good as I think I did, but like, you know what iron, we all heard that. Then what's crazy is I do that on the app, but then I go to my physical Bible and then I say, what do you want me to hear today? Same scripture.
Wow.
You know how big the Bible is? I just do like this, and I just feel when it stops. And I opened it up and it said iron sharpens iron. And then it's another part right after that. So I don't remember, y'all. But I was like, oh my gosh. So anyway.
So the message is just to be around like-minded individuals that just help you, and they sharpen your iron, and they keep you motivated, and they keep you pumped.
And sometimes they can fill you back. Sometimes you might be depleted, right? And they can charge you back up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We need that. And then on the other side, y'all both sharpened. Then you just like bouncing off each other, these ideas and all of that. But some days that might be like, I ain't got nothing. And then they give you some, and then they get back. You know what I mean? So, and what did I cut you off?
No.
Oh, okay. And
you're feeding us. Come on,
let's
go.
Iron.
Let's go.
But what I heard when you saying getting back to yourself was, because I took notes because it's a lot to retain at once, but you were seeking community, and so that support system outside of your family, which I'm sure is there, but when you need the break and so you can go recharge for your family, you were seeking community. So that was one, and then I know this is not the language that you use, but we brainwash ourselves, right? Because with the motivational videos, because there was a time before, we live in a beautiful time where we have access to so much, whatever we want. We don't have to go down the dark sides of the internet. We can go over to the motivational. We can go over to the music. Free to be me. We can do that. So, and it sounds like you went to the side that was going to help you, the motivational side, and that's a sense of like, I've done it to myself, brainwashed myself, and so even with the good stuff, so even when it gets, you want to fall back, like you like, oh, then all that stuff that you put in there is like, oh, come on. Wind you back up because you put it in, you know what I mean? Like you put it in there. So you might forget it for a second, but it comes back. So, and then finding that relaxation time for yourself. Like this sounds aggressive when you said, like, well, we talked about tones and stuff. My tone can be I'm from Baltimore, so it'll get a little crazy. But screw like what people think you should be doing. Like, oh, if you go to the gym and like, oh, I'm not working out, I'm not buff. That's not. No, boo-boo, that's not what I need. I need to go to the sauna. I need to go in the steam room. I need to go to the pool. That's what feeds me. And so I think honoring that too, because there's so many messages of what we should do. And I think you spending that quiet time by yourself, figuring out what works for Soqi, and then honoring that and implementing those practices in your life, you know? So that's for the listeners too, of like, forget what any of us say or anything you hear. Find what's going to work for you, not what you should do.
Right.
Let's get rid of the shoulds.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And the last thing which you talked about was meeting people where they are. I think
Mhm.
that's so beautiful. I know I'm guilty of it too, of being trapped of what I think someone should be or where I would want them to be,
Mhm.
and in all areas of my life. Well, why can't they just do this? But I think going into it with the curiosity of like, what does this person need, and remembering when we were talking about not judging people, remembering we all have these lives that you don't know nothing about, and all you see is this moment. So just give me a break. Like, give me a second,
Right.
because like you don't know me.
Right.
You don't know me.
That's in my life. Like,
Oh,
they don't know me.
I was thinking about like you don't. Yeah, that's so good.
That's
You
it. And I say it just like that.
Mhm.
And with the
Mhm.
tears and like the snot.
Yeah.
I was just like, they don't know me.
Yes.
That's
That's
the
so
line in my monologue, actually.
Mhm.
And yeah, I love that. And when we learn, this is it. Because I was just going off of everything y'all said. And I think when you learn to honor yourself, that bleeds over, and then it's easier for you to honor other people.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right. That is so true.
It
It was
starts
something I
in
wanted to.
here.
Yeah, definitely. Can I touch on?
yeah,
something
please.
you
I was
said?
just surmising and adding to the
So when
conversation.
we talk about meeting people where they are, and that's not saying like dumb ourselves down just to make someone else feel good. What specifically I'm saying, like especially with my production and what it's about. When you're dealing with people that are from the streets, a lot of times it was built, that toughness, that tough exterior, that tough, that tough
Survival.
correct.
Survival.
That's a great word. That survival thing is like most times taught, learned, and when you come to certain people, what am I trying to say? Okay, so basically, my second production, at the end of my production, this guy from the street, you could tell just by like demeanor, and I had a chance to meet him after, but he walked down front to give his life to Christ after my production.
Wow.
And it touched him that much because he was saying, that's my story. He said, that's what I've been through. He's like, I'm tired, man. I'm tired, so we actually had friends of ours that were in ministry, and they came down and they prayed with him, and went over the prayer of salvation with him, to give his life to Christ. And that's what I'm saying, like, because a person looks a certain way or whatever, it's like, even my production, I felt like met him where he was, because it's like, of course we could have judged and be like, well, why is he walking down front? What's his issue? What's going on? And it's like not judging, but that's the whole purpose, is for lives to be changed through the production, lives to be changed through our writing, lives to be changed through our creativity, and who knows what this production could bring. Someone else could maybe want to come down front, or who knows, someone may be in the audience watching, wanting to invest. Just never know what the possibilities are, and that's what I don't do, and I do not want to do, is limit myself. When I say don't do, I have limited myself, so I'm going to correct myself with that. I have limited myself before.
In what way?
Well, just that self-sabotage, saying what I can't do, and that's kind of a lot to ask, or that's a lot to, or maybe no one's interested in this, that, and the third, just that self, knocking my own self out, because it's like, it's easy to find someone to blame concerning a lot of things. And I went through those stages, oh, well, if mom had did this, and blah, blah, blah. And after a while, I'm like, you know what? You are in charge of your own destiny at this moment. Either you're going to go or you're not. And so
being responsible, though, real quick, one time when I first moved out in my 20s, I called my mom and was trying to blame her for stuff. She said, no matter what I did or didn't do, you're responsible for your life. And she was not being mean. That was the truth. You can blame me all day, sweetie, but you still got to figure out what you're going to do, because you're responsible for your life. Just saying that with the blame thing. Yeah. You can go down that road if you want to, but it ain't going to get you nowhere.
Right. Yeah. And that's the truth, because holding on to resentment and, like past traumas and things like that, it does not help to heal. It does not help to go forward in life. And I'm able to say that from experience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, talking from experience, I had my moments where I'm just like, man, if my mom was like, if her communication was just a little bit better, like if she didn't talk so harsh, because my mom, she grew up rough, I guess, too. And the reason I say I guess because she really didn't talk a whole lot about her past, but I just got bits and pieces that I was putting together. And I'm like, Mom, you never talk about it, and it's like her words to me would just be so hard. I felt was harsh. But that was her way of so-called toughening me. So imagine a lot of people who are from the streets, they get that rough talk, they get that harsh, and just I guess that also was a heartstring pull for me because I've seen this growing up. Yeah. I've seen, what street life can do to people. It's like one day you're playing and happy and having a good time, and then this next, the responses are different. Like, this is my life. This is how I make my money. So, and I hope I'm making sense.
Yeah. But it's also it also sheds a light on we're all the way we are for a reason, right? No matter where you're from, no matter how you behave, you had these life experiences that made you the way you are. So it's not even in a bad way, but it's just there were things that happened that made me this way. So, and I think that also gives like I don't know, for me, like a kindness to, or at least a baseline respect of like, it's like, instead of judging, it's like, no, this person is this way for a reason. Yeah. So I don't, what am I doing judging them? You know what I mean? Like, why, And so, but that's a lot because society just.
Right. And like, it was something you said too about discernment, discerning. Because that's important for us to discern, because like I said, by her coming in, it's like I witnessed her energy without her having to even open her mouth, and that to me was discerning her spirit, there's others that come in, and it's kind of like, it's not a judgment, but it's using wisdom as to who you connect with, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's like, it's not judging. It's like, okay, a person can come in dressed a certain way. You're not judging them, but it's that their energy preceded them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And you're like, this might not work. You know what I mean?
That's really important because I don't want people to take away, don't judge people. That means you are friends with everybody or you let everybody into your life.
Right. Yeah.
No.
Right.
That's not what anybody is saying. It's like, you don't have to judge, but also everybody's not meant for you. And and every time I ignore that feeling, that voice that's like, this person is bad, and it comes and smacks me in the face. So I'm like, I don't even, because curiosity, like I said, be curious, but everything's a balance, right? Because curiosity would kill the cat. Like, let me still see why. Like, even though the voice is so strong, my logic side of my brain is like, but why? Right. But why?
Or let me just give this.
Let me figure this out. No, now I'm like, now I've learned with wisdom and experiences. If the voice says no, it's no, and I don't need to know why. Right. Everybody's safe. Everybody's fine. And there are people I meet that right away you feel drawn to or indifferent or whatever. But I've met people that my spirit, not to sound whatever, but like something in me was like, get away from that person. Yeah. And I think they might not even be a bad person. They just might not be good for you. I'm not even saying, I wouldn't tell somebody else to, do what feels right for you. Right. But for me, and I've honored that voice. I don't got to know why anymore. I have seen why too many times.
Exactly.
I'm good. So I think that is a very important point. Like, and I know no slandering anybody when those people, when they don't resonate with who I am, I don't say, nothing. I don't even know anything.
It's just not me.
But I'm going to go on the other side of the room.
Hey. And some things just aren't meant, and then just me and my transparency, me being with my husband, I noticed a difference between having my child with someone I'm not meant to be with as opposed to someone I'm married to. I noticed a big difference, so it's a difference in a way because the commitment is there in the marriage to say, I'm with you through what we have to do, so it's like, if I'm making sense.
Yeah.
Like dad's presence lets the kids know, okay, I can't run over mommy. It's like, mommy loves me, and they'll come in my room and grab things and they don't care. It's like, well, mommy should be mad for a second, but dad comes in, why do you have your mom's things? It's like, oh, yeah, so they know you can't do, but having a child out of wedlock, or I don't want to make things sound so biblical, but having just having a baby daddy, I guess you could say, is I noticed the difference because it's not the same. If I say, hey, you can't do this, whatever, it's like, well, go ahead. There's no agreement. So I just noticed the difference.
Well, with those, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say a couple things.
Did I go off into a
No, because it was leading me to something else, but I want to hear what
okay, so I was gonna say also that it could be that you within you have evolved just as a person, as Soqi. Your energy has attracted this positive person in your life, because I know people who have children out of wedlock and such that, and I feel personally like it has to do with where you're at and where the person's at. Because there's situations where people are married and it's great, and there's where people are married and it's not so great. You know what I mean? But it's all where the two people are at. It's where the two people are at in their life. And then also sometimes, in a partnership, like one person may be working on themselves and the other person might not be working on themselves. Right. Yeah. And then and then what happens? So it's a series of different things. But I didn't want to touch on the discernment thing because it led me to talk about protecting your energy, because I've been into that a lot and into that lately. Yeah. Even with people and with situations, and sometimes it's just that. Sometimes it's just like, okay, you may be able to help people through their situations, but you within yourself gotta know, like, is this too much for me? How much am I willing to, setting boundaries and that whole conversation? And it's like, is this a good situation? And like when you said, but I love when you were like, I'm just gonna move over here and I don't need to know the where or the why, because sometimes when we are giving and we are givers, sometimes we give too much and sometimes we give away a part of ourselves, and we just have to be mindful of that.
And no, that's so important. I had to I read a bunch of books on when I say a bunch of books, it was like two, but I read a few books on boundaries because it was so bad. And then now coming out of it, I know the symptoms of when your boundaries aren't there. And so for me, and I wonder what happens for you all, of there are physical symptoms. Like queasiness in my stomach all the time, nervousness, like unnecessary, like for what, and then my body even responds when it's in a bad space of tears. And then I'm like, what's going on? Am I like just always anxious? And this is specifically like when I was in a relationship that was really bad. I didn't realize how bad it was until I came out of it, but I didn't set any boundaries around what I needed or what was just what was important for me to still be Selena. And but anyway, I just said that to say, like, it can come out in so many ways when you don't set boundaries. Have y'all witnessed?
Well, that's kind of where I was trying to go with what I was talking
we
about.
Got there.
As far as like, because that's where I was trying to go when I was talking about noticing the difference. Because no marriage is perfect. I definitely want to disclaimer that. But what I meant by that is I did not use, I was young. I didn't use discernment. There was a lot of signs telling me this is not for you, but I didn't go based on that, and then it wound up, having a child, bringing her into, something that wasn't meant, something that was not gonna, pan out well. So that's where I was trying to go with that, is just like understanding the difference. But now that I am of, a more mature age, I do get that queasiness sometimes when it's like, okay, this is not for you to enter. But it's like when you enter into a situation where in the long run the intentions aren't well, I get a anger, and it's like, I don't understand why I'm so mad about this when this person comes around. Like, why am I so, I don't understand. And then it's like in the long run I've seen where it's like That's why, you know, and I wish I had nipped it in the bud earlier on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But there are also times, you know, like when, like we were talking about the positivity, like if someone comes in the room and it's like, oh my gosh, you just almost kind of, it brings you, you know, to this emotional place where it's like, I feel safe now. I feel comforted. I feel like, yeah, I can exhale. Been waiting to exhale.
Yes.
But yeah, that's what I can say about, you know,
Yeah.
if that answers what you
No, yeah. And because I'm always thinking about the listeners too. I want people to like, oh, is that what's happening to me? Because so many things have happened and then I didn't know what it was. And but if I had had a little information, I could have, oh, that's what that is. Or explore, or even just not ignoring it, ignoring these little feelings, these little nudges that you get. Your body's telling you something. Like our bodies are so powerful, and they know sometimes more than we do. And so I think for me, a long time I just ignored any little thing. You know, I'd be like, no, I'm fine. You know, your mind tries to like
rationalize
it.
it.
Exactly. Yeah. And your body's like, well, I said what I said.
That needs to be a meme right there. I see that one clip of you saying that.
So yeah, and then I did want to ask, what is, so this podcast isn't about like romantic relationships, but so however you want to answer it, but what would you say to someone else who's like, this person's good for me, this person isn't? What's the difference? How do you see it? What's a sign?
There's a lot of factors I can say.
Yeah.
But just like feeling like you're in a safe place, you know, feeling in a safe space with a person, I feel like is a big deal for me, you know. That the how do I express? Like for me, just like you were talking about, like, and I don't know if it's just as me getting older or whatever, but energy is a big deal. It is a big deal. And it's a big deal for me, you know, because I feel like if the energy is like I said, sometimes people don't even have to open their mouth and they walk into the room, you know, or there's been times where it's a room full of people and I can walk in and I'm just like, okay, this room is just not for me. It's just not for me, you know, and it's just that, right, there's a lot of exhaling going on, so there's agreement. There is agreement here.
Yes.
You know, but you know, it's just it's more or less like just feeling like you're in that safe space. And I'm just giving this brief because I know you always say, you know, maybe some more to you guys, but no, there's a time when I owned an event space and I would constantly have like women's brunches, and I would have things, and I started having the women's brunches. I didn't open the business for that. You know, I would have people come in doing their little sneaker balls and doing all their other stuff, you know, and I would teach my performing arts there too. But I started having women's brunches because I felt like I started feeling the outcry of women saying, I just need a place to feel safe, that I can share what I'm going through, not be judged, have a place that I feel respected, a place that I feel accepted, a place where I feel a sense of belonging. And that's why I started having the brunches. And as it was, you know, getting ready to grow, I ended up having to shut the doors, which is fine, because I'm like, hey, sayonara overhead, okay? But you know, it still was an experience for me that I eventually will kick back up again. But I'm not trying to overwhelm myself. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like we have a lot of talents and gifts, but I don't want to overwhelm myself. But I had those brunches because I gave those women that did attend, they felt like they were in a safe space. You know, and we could have our talks. We would, you know, eat, laugh, and, you know, talk about some of our, you know, traumatic experiences, you know, some of our current experiences, but then also bring it back to, okay, now it's time to heal.
And that's why I was asking you how people, where you found your groups, because well, one, we're in Atlanta, and a lot of people are new people here. I'm a newer person, so we're looking for friends, but then also like that community, you know what I mean? So which is like, it's so important, and what I'm learning is like it's actually worth it to find these groups of people.
Because that stigma of, you know, at one point you would always hear Black women couldn't be in the same room and get along. It was a stigma on that, you know, but I found groups where I've literally connected with other women, and I'm like, you know what, this is amazing. You know, you're not necessarily going to connect with every single person in the room, but you don't also there doesn't have to be this super bad energy between everybody either, but you just find those some people that in this group, she and I will start going to lunch more than outside of this group and things like that. But I found the groups through word of mouth. There's only been 2 that I've become a part of, but one of them she's actually coaching me to create my own. And I told her eventually that will happen, but right now I don't want to overwhelm myself trying to do this, and this. Because the women's brunch was a spinoff, and I didn't even pay attention to it in that way.
Right.
But that was a spinoff or a beginning of creating my own women's group. But I did that just to have an outlet for myself, as well as other women, to be able to, like you were saying, have that community to say, hey, this is where I'm going because I've had a rough week.
Yeah.
At least Saturday we're gonna have brunch. We're gonna be,
It is so important. This was recently. I thought I was depressed because I hadn't been interacting with anybody. I had been just like crazy, like focus, but it can be isolating, right? And I went and hung out with some people that I like being around, and I was like, oh, I'm fine. Yeah. I was like, okay, what's happening? And I was like, oh, I'm completely fine. This is fine. So it is important to like have community and stuff. You know what I mean? We're not meant to live alone. Luther Vandross. Shout out to Luther. But yeah, we're not made to be solidary, like in solid. What am I saying? Solitary.
Solitude.
Yes. Thank you. Ooh, words. We're not meant to be in solitude. So yeah, I'm just throwing that out there too. Like sometimes you might just need to be around some folks and have some fun.
But you did the right thing. Yeah. You did the right thing. Like. And it goes back to what we were saying before about if you feel like you are losing yourself, you did a self-check. And sometimes you are on autopilot because sometimes life does get overwhelming. We all have responsibilities, things that we have to do, things we have to take care of. We've got, rent, mortgage, bills, life, things, family, commitment, responsibilities, all those things, right? But I always say, or I've tried my best to train myself for that voice to say, okay, go back to the things that make you happy. Go back to the things that the people that help you I did this. So I was recently talking to a longtime friend of mine who was grieving, right? And I said to her, why don't you do things that you used to like to do? Because even if you don't feel like doing it, you used to like to do that thing. Whatever that thing, like if you play tennis or you play golf or you ballet dance or you salsa or whatever it is, whatever your thing or your things are, go back to those. Community, friendship, people who remind you of yourself and how great and how happy you are. So you did the self-check, you did the work. And that's why the light came back, oh yeah, I'm fine, because those people help you to bring back yourself.
Yeah,
that is so true. That is so true. I was just gonna say that because you're right. There were times where I had to, like, again, I always say force because you have to think about my household. But I would, push myself to go to like poetry spots. Those are things that I love, absolutely love. But I would, take time out and I'd look, Eventbrite or whatever, and I'm like, oh, they got poetry tonight. I'm like, I'm going, karaoke, a little something.
Yeah,
I love anytime, ladies.
I'm scared to go with her. And you want to sing it? You know what? I'm gonna be chorus.
No, we can go because
singing in the background. I'll sing in the background.
No.
I love karaoke though. It's so fun.
We can do it.
Yeah, because karaoke really was not meant for people who can sing.
Right. Honestly, and now everybody's like, oh, she can't sing. This is Apollo. I didn't put no audition. I'm just trying to have a fun night.
I went to one spot where everybody that got on the microphone could sing.
And that's Southside. You probably went to the Southside because they come out the hospital on the east side. Okay, they come out the womb like
everybody there could sing. But you know what I saw in that? I felt like those were dreams that they were still trying to keep alive.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, everybody in here can sing. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. That's just how I saw it. It's like, sometimes I feel like people, those days of being on the stage consistently probably isn't there at the moment,
Mhm.
you know. So it's like, let me go to this karaoke spot, you know, and everybody, I'm like, everybody in here can sing. I'm like, this is amazing, you know. But it also helped me because I was like, you sing, do you act?
Yeah.
You know, but anyway, but I
Yeah.
just thought it was really cool, you know. But I like going to the spots where it ain't where everybody can sing, you know, because it makes it fun,
Right.
you know, especially when a person is confident, you know, and the vocals really aren't all there, you know, but they're confident with it. It's like, oh, this is so fun. It just makes you get up and applaud them, you know, because number one, it's the confidence that got you up there. Like my husband, he doesn't sing at all, and so it was like I try to get him out, you know, and sing at some point. And I mean, the crowd was so excited because there not one note was correct, but the confidence of I'm good.
That's what it means. Confidence level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm a sell this song. I ain't singing it right, but I'm not nailing it.
Look, I think that would be amazing if we could get together and go karaoke.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, but hey, look, we'll talk about that, I guess, off.
BTS.
But I definitely think it's amazing what you said as far as making sure that we tap back into what it is that we love, you know, and what, and I feel like that was a portion of what made me, after 5 years, go back into doing my production, because it's like I gotta stick with my passion. I gotta stay on board with my purpose. I have to stay on board with
what makes
you know,
you.
yeah, because it's like when I go to rehearsals, they don't even know, but that's my time that feels like a spark, you know, that plugs me in to feel like, oh, I'm in my, you know, my element. Now, as we're getting closer to the event date, I'm like,
August 24th.
Okay, now, I don't know, you know, if my niceness is gonna stay here, but you know, it's amazing because it just makes me, I don't know, it makes me feel really good, you know, because a lot of the actors that are in the production were in my previous production.
Wow. Okay.
You know, so I feel like that, to me, that also gave me a great feeling, because I'm like, you all wanted to come back, you know. I didn't have to start completely over. And this was 5 years later. Some of them coming back from the first production in 2017.
Yeah.
So it was that long ago, and some of them are coming back from then, you know. And so I'm like, this is great. And so this is my purpose now. I want to continue going, even though there's one night for this August 24th. Yes.
Okay.
Come on, you gotta join in.
I got it.
Hey.
I forgot about the hat. I can't move.
Oh yeah, you neck down. You neck down. We talked about this.
Right. We rehearsed it.
All right, now, Effie. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, but no, this is really great. I don't know. I'm probably interrupted what your question was.
No. I want things to feel fun and what? Okay, because I do want to respect y'all's time. So I did want to say, so wait, were you finished your point though?
You know, I don't know. I think I did. But I think look, I was having a good time, so it don't even matter to me.
Okay, good. But what you said, I wanted to shout that out, I guess, or point that out of, you don't know. Always show up and like give your best, because you don't know what's going to happen later, but you don't know who's watching. So you like when you had a lot of the people from your first production 5 years ago are in your new production August 24th. If you didn't like working with them, that wouldn't be the case. Right. You know what I mean? And it's like, I always think like, it doesn't matter how small my role is or how whatever, it's like, you never know what opportunities are going to come. You don't know where the people around you are going. So like, I'm not telling people to do, but I'm just saying, show up, turn it on, give your best. And we talked about this on your episode. I don't know if you remember, but like, don't, not bringing all your stuff into, you know what I mean? You're showing up for Soqi's vision, really. Yeah. Like you're presenting yourself, but you remembering this is her vision, her baby. You know what I mean? And so even like, today, this is my baby, the show, but this show today is not about me, right? It's I want to bring what you're doing to people and share your message and spread it around. And so just remembering it's not about you. Right. Like that's, and I guess I said that earlier when you're like being a vessel, but also just like you give it's like a balance again, right? Like you give your best, but it's not about you.
Yeah,
You know what I
service
mean?
is
Yeah,
exactly
service. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, you can just surmise me and Soqi. What they're
you're
trying to
saying
say,
is-
what they're trying to say in one word, service.
Look, so I come out of here, right? Service.
Yeah.
Like,
So it's taking me all around. I'm taking myself all around the bush to get to this service.
discernment.
Yes. What am I trying to say?
Right. If captions was a person, here we go. She's letting us know.
Solitude.
I couldn't find the word.
No, that's-
I didn't know where it
You
was.
said solitary.
Solitary. What? What are you playing cards, girl? Just an ass. Oh, sometimes I really think I know words until I don't. And what you said too, no matter how long it takes, like it's okay. It hurts when you don't do your purpose,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Like it physically hurts me when I'm not doing, like if I go too long. You need breaks,
Mhm.
but when it goes too long, it'll start nagging and like. Oh, like I'm like, so I'm just saying that too. That's another cue of something that you should be doing. And I've been stressing, like, everything doesn't have to be your career. We live in America and they push, like, we like have to, everything has to, we have to make money off of it. But we want to make money.
Right.
We're not saying that on this. Okay, I'm not. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that part. But like that thing that you have to do, you have to do it. You have to do it. Like I never wanted to make money off Zumba. I love Zumba. I'm obsessed, and I haven't done it because I don't know any authentic Zumba places. If you know any in Atlanta, drop it in the comments. But it hurts me. Like I physically think about, like I'm like, I need to do Zumba, and I do a little single, double just to get me through. Just to get me through. Oh, but those things that are calling you is, I think, to your point, is really important to honor it. You know what I mean? And however long it takes, however long the gaps are, you got to pick it back up, because it will hurt, and then try to run away and then get into these unhealthy things and whatever. You got to do it.
Initially, when I started writing, 2012, and when 2016 came, I just was like, I got to a point where I told my husband, I was like, can we sit down and talk? Because me working, you working, and trying to raise the kids and daycare and diapers, and I may want to make some changes. I was like, can we sit down and talk about it? So we sat down and talk about it. And I was like, because at this point I got to figure out what I want to do. I actually had the thought of going into real estate at that time, because I was like, if I got to do something, it's got to be something that I might like. I didn't have a passion for it,
right?
But I was like, let me do something I might like, because I was working a job I did not like. And I was like, I need to do something that's going to free me up a little bit, give me some time, so that, of course, childcare was always calling. I was like, I got a lot of kids. So it's like, get a call for one, and I'm like, okay, well, yep, I'll bring diapers for that one. And oh, well, we're calling about such as, I'm like, I just called about this, and I'm like, can you just call me at one time for all the kids to go have issues, but it's like it would happen separate times. So I just needed that time. And so eventually I was like, okay, I'm like, Lord, I don't know what to do. I was like, either I'm gonna go into real estate or I want to work on my passion. I just don't know what to do, And it was amazing that, like, maybe a couple of weeks later, it's like I could not sleep until I finished that script. I could not sleep. It was like I was up in the middle of the night. I couldn't figure out why I'm always up. But it's like when I did get up, I wanted to just go sit at the computer, and I just started typing, finishing out the production. And finally, when I finally finished it, like I said, when I wrote the play, it was not at a great time. We were having a little hardship. Like I said, I'm transitioning jobs and whatever. And when I got done, I was like, I gotta copyright this. I was like, I don't have the money. I'm like, how am I gonna copyright it? I don't know what to do, So I kind of went through that phase, and I was like, I'm just gonna send it through. Who knows? And I pressed send to copyright, and it went through. I didn't have the issues with my account being negative. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just trying to give like these miraculous moments as a like a testimony. And like you were talking about, is for those who are thinking to pursue your passion, and you're like, I don't have the money. I don't have the time. It's like, press your way through. Press your way through to do what it is that you were born to do, and that purpose that is sitting within you. Because like you said, it just doesn't make you that much of a pleasant person when you're not operating in your purpose. And so during that time, I felt like I was being led to go ahead and do this production.
And it's I'm gonna ask two more questions, and I'm gonna start wrapping this up, y'all. Y'all good?
Yeah.
Okay. But it's two. I know it's a saying, it's been a cliche, but who you become on the journey to is really, I think, the point of following your purpose. It's not all the things you're gonna get, like monetary or material or whatever, but it's like the people. It's to make. I think it's to make you the fullest, best version of yourself, and it's like all the people you get to meet, and it just brings you through. It makes you a happier person. It makes you feel more confident. Like, well, that's my experience. I can't say everybody, but I the people I like, yeah, just the people I get to meet in the lives you get to affect, and then there's like a domino ripple effect. Like you putting on the production, Shauna's working. All the people as an actress, not saying you wouldn't be working, I'm just saying it's another job for you. And then all the people you reach in the audience, and then the space you're even making it out of, they get to rent out the space, whatever, you know what I mean? So it's all the people that are affected by what you do as well, that wouldn't have had these opportunities. But it's like when I started, because we went on hiatus for the show, and then I came back over a year ago now. The person I was then and now, like night and day, because I get to pick people's brains every week. You think I'm not getting better? You think I'm not getting better? Like at interviewing, but this is a person, because I get to ask all these things, and I get to put all these things in my toolbox every week. Like what? And then I got to edit the show and look at the clips over and over and over again. So it's repetitive in my mind. So, but that's just my point. Was just to say, when you follow what is calling you, it's not just for you to get something or whatever. In a way, you are getting something, but it's for you. You're going to be a better version of yourself, and you're going to be really proud of yourself. And it's going to make you feel so good, better than any substance or any, whatever, it's food, cake. I like cake. But it feels better than that. Like it really does. So you're manufacturing this feeling that, if you follow what's calling you, will give you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like with the material. Anyways, do you want to add anything, Shauna?
You summed it up wonderfully.
Did I? Was there a word?
But just to piggyback off what you were saying, it's also like, you may think in your mind that, okay, well, I really like doing this thing. Right. And that's your thing. Okay. It doesn't necessarily have to be entertainment. It could be like with you doing this podcast, Soqi doing the show, just whatever that thing is, or just having the brunches. Right. You may say, okay, well, yeah, I'm doing this because I like, but then God might put people in like that, okay, well, yeah, you need to meet this person, like, they might need to get something off their chest. They might need to be inspired. They might need that extra push to just even conversations, like they might need to apply for that job, right? They might just need a little bit of help on their body, like whatever that is. God may put might put that they might put that they might put people in your path. So you might think that, oh, I like putting on concerts, I like putting on live shows, I'm going to do that. But then you're dealing with cast, like what we're talking about. You're dealing with crew, you're dealing with these personalities. Just I've even when you and I had met, the people who we met like that, we all met each other that same day, and I still keep in contact with everybody.
Okay.
Just to see, like, hey, what are you doing? And some I've worked with on productions. Some it's just to keep the conversation going, because I'll do follow-up conversations just to say, oh, hey, how are you? What have you been getting into? Because I feel like sometimes I may think I'm doing this because I like it, but no, it's because it has a purpose, because of the people who I'm meeting on this journey. But it's not just me helping and I like to empower people. I like people to feel good about themselves, but it's not just me liking that. Like I'm also getting something out of it too, because it's an exchange.
That there's a proverb, I can't remember how it goes, but it's like the scent of the rose stays on the person who gave the rose, and it's better.
I like that.
It's better than that, but that's what it means. Like you can't give without getting something. This is the bottom line. So you doing that is like, of course you're gonna get something out of it, and like I want to give to the listeners. I get a lot out of the show, like a lot. So it's like, yeah. I think that it's wonderful to help and just show up, and it's gonna feel good for everybody, you know. I have to ask. I really want to ask. All right, so two more, but I have to ask about success because that's what the show's about. How do you define success?
I define success as being at a place where you feel whole, at a place where you feel like you feel accomplished. I know back in the day, I used to think success looked a certain way.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. But now being on my journey, and especially I'm on a journey of healing, in many ways, not just from my past, but just healing in a way where it's like no more, self-sabotage when it comes to certain things. But to me, success looks like confidence. Success to me looks like, I feel good about what I just did. That was successful. Success to me is learning to not give a lack of a better word, about what others think about what it is that I've done, so that's why I'm still on that healing journey, just being honest. As far as not really caring, because I'm a person that has always cared so much about other people and cared for other people. As you can see, taking care of my grandfather, my kids, that's a thing that I love to do, is to care. But I'm having to learn exactly what you all were talking about, that success for me would be learning to be okay with setting my boundaries. Being okay with like not accepting what's coming against my peace. Being okay with the process of my healing journey. So yeah, that's kind of what success looks like to me.
Feeling proud of yourself, right? Did I add that word? I might have added that, but feeling confident and constant healing. That's right. Okay.
That's how I would. That would be my description.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's so funny is that the last time I had come on the show, you asked me the same question.
Yes.
Right. And then we were also talking about how, from a year ago or a year and a half ago, it's like I've evolved, grown so much, right? So I may have to play back the tape and see what I thought it was then.
Yeah.
Right? But I feel like, so one part of my answer is still the same. In terms of success is different for everyone. And you can't measure success based on where someone else is at, because they had different opportunities, they had different struggles than you. So success is definitely something that's different for each person. But I also want to speak to just the self and the self-love aspect of it, and the setting healthy boundaries for yourself, because sometimes you can fall off your ladder a little bit because you are overgiving and you're not giving enough to yourself. And I want to share, maybe I'll try to make it a 30-second story.
You got it.
Because with success, so being able to have a successful stage play audition was something that I wanted to make sure I did. So I didn't attach whether I got cast to the success of the part, because at the end of the day, writer director, they have a vision
right.
of who they want to cast.
Right.
But I had to say, do I feel like I did a good job? Many times when we're in the entertainment industry, we tie the result to the success.
Right.
And that shouldn't be the case.
No.
I've had bad auditions before. And sometimes that's something that a lot of people don't talk about.
Mm-hmm.
I remember specifically a horrible, now I say it's horrible, but I think it was horrible because I wasn't prepared. Like,
right.
I'm saying like years ago, maybe even like more than a decade ago, I wasn't prepared. Like, I didn't know, someone gave me the opportunity, but I didn't even know the production that I was auditioning for. I was at rehearsal of another production in the theater, and I was told, okay, the director said that you can go in there and go now. So I didn't know what I was rehearsing for.
Yeah.
I had to reach in my toolbox for the monologue. I didn't even know the day before. I couldn't practice the song. It was cold. My voice had changed. Like, I was just like,
yeah,
I didn't know, what was happening. And so, that experience was always in the back of my head. So I always had to say, you know what, okay, well, I can do these self-tapes though. You know what I'm saying? I can do these self-tapes all day. But, live and especially like singer auditions and all of that stuff, you have to warm up. It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's more difficult in my opinion. So I was like, you know what? I was like, as long as I go there, I was like, I'm going to make some bold choices. Like, there was a part in the scene where she looks at a picture, and I had on my phone, my daughter was the screensaver. There was a part where she drinks. I had a water bottle, and just instinctively, I was that person. I was like, and I spilled a little bit of the water bottle too. Do you remember? Like, because I squeezed it a little too hard, and I was like, I don't even care because she would do that. I was in it.
Yeah.
And then when I got in the car, I was like, that's how you audition. It's like to myself.
Yeah.
And then I walked away from it.
Yep.
Because I said, you know what? I was like, if I'm in the vision for that production, that, for Kiana, I was like, that's okay. But if not, it's okay too, because I didn't tie the result to the success.
Right. I think that's so important, and I encourage anyone who's pursuing anything, but especially acting. I've read a lot of books and spoken to a lot of like OGs in the game, and that's one of the things I learned very early on, because I had a monologue coach, and he said, I said, how long do I think about I was a long time ago. It was a long time ago. And I was like, how long do I think about the audition until I let it go after?
Yeah.
And he said, you forget about the audition as you're walking out the door.
Boom.
Exactly. And you go in, you do your best, and that's what you're proud of. You did your best. And remember, you might not be, what I said earlier, you might not be good for that production, but if you do a good job, they'll remember you and they'll see you somewhere else. It's a small world, and they'll see you somewhere else, and they'll know what you can do. So you could be picked for something else or whatever. You always leave a good impression. That's what you do. But you forget about it.
Look, y'all talk about auditions. I'm here to let you know I've been on that side, as well as the acting side. And it was funny because I had a very, very horrible audition once. I didn't know to let it go right then. But I was way younger. And I don't mind saying I was in my early 20s at the time, because I know I've already mentioned I got a 25-year-old kid. So there you go. But someone was telling me about The Lion King. They were having auditions for Lion King. So I'm like, oh my God, I want to do this. The acting part, I think I'll kill it. But they were having auditions, I think, for 2 days. And so I missed the first day.
Okay.
And so I said, I'm going to go to the second day. So I get to the second day, and I didn't realize that the second day's auditions was specifically for dancers. I'm not a dancer. So I came in, and they're like, you got to have your music. I'm like, I don't have no music. I'm like, what are we doing? They gave me a number and everything. And I'm sitting here like, okay, when are we going to get to the acting? And I didn't want to bother, because the people seem really, really, serious.
Yeah.
Everything they tell you to do, go do it. So I'm just like, okay, and I'm getting in the line, and they're like, okay, so we're gonna go through our first
Like, hey,
go through our first dance audition. I'm like, dance. I'm like, I'm not dancing. I'm like, I can't, So we get in there, and I had this number on me, so they end up calling my number. So the lady's like, okay, we're gonna teach you dance steps. I'm like, okay, cool. She's gonna teach us, then fine. I can possibly do this. I had no idea it was ballet. I don't know the first about ballet. Not no pivot, no nothing.
First plie,
Man.
second plie.
Oh my gosh.
That's all I remember.
I didn't know. I didn't even know that. Plie nothing. And so I'm like, okay, you know what? That'll be bad on me if I just quit. Just go for it. Just try it. So when they got to the audition part, and like I could see the judges trying their hardest not to laugh at me. And I felt so horrible. It's like when I walked out of audition, I was like, why did you even go through it? Why didn't you just leave? Like I was just
because we're taught to commit. You're taught to commit. In any training, you're taught to commit, right? I went to an audition. This was okay, long time ago, and I did not know it was a singing audition. And I fancy myself a little bit of a singer, but these people were next level, and they were doing like not opera, but some other kind. And you had to read music, and I don't know how to read music. Right. I want to, but I'm not. So they gave me the sheet. And I'm like, why am I up here? And I sing the song, but I didn't know the key. Like I didn't know. And and then they were like, and I was like, thank you. I'm like, why did I say that? But I was like, why did I do this? Like, why didn't I just say, you can't, girl? I don't know how to read music. I thought this was just acting. I didn't know it was singing as well. But you get in those situations. Right. But I'm not mad that I did it, because while I did embarrass myself, and I just say you put your best foot forward, but it shows that I have decided to commit. Good, bad, or indifferent.
I hate that I did it. I do.
When you realize that you ain't over your head.
Yes. You're like, I should leave. But I don't know what happens in our brains to stay.
Right.
You really should not have do everybody a favor and leave.
It was like as soon as they were doing this part, I don't even know what that is. They were doing this, and I'm sitting there trying not to tumble over. I was like, oh my gosh, I'll be so glad. In my mind, I was like, when this is over, I will be so glad. And I could see the judges sitting there like, is she serious? Like turn the camera on her. So I thought I was gonna see myself plastered all over YouTube or something, as a joke.
Fails.
Right.
Going viral. No, I would have done the same thing, so don't feel bad. I think I still would today. Whatever. I'm here.
It's better, like we out here, and then like, okay, that's not my bag. So right. Now I know that I'm a pivot,
right?
And we're gonna do this, right.
I was thinking, I came all the way out here. I'm doing something.
Exactly.
I'm gonna show y'all something
because I got a full face of makeup, so y'all gonna see me.
I took time out of my day. I'm gonna show you something. I don't know what it's gonna be.
I don't know something. For whatever reason, I thought the acting was going to come up at some point.
No, we ain't about that.
Right.
You go 5, 6, 7, 8.
That right.
5, 6, and go.
Right.
Ma'am.
I just like the memo. Everybody else in there seemed like they got the memo. They knew how to do all these,
yes.
things. And I was sitting there like,
right.
I'm like, oh my gosh, this is not going to work.
But
that's
funny.
That's funny.
Oh god, y'all got me crying.
That is funny. All right, I'm gonna start closing this out, but I do want to bring before we do close out, I did want to touch on Deliver Our Mail. Yes. Did you want to mention anything else about the play?
Well, I think it's a must see. First of all, it's different than any other production you've seen. It's a hip hop musical. Okay, meaning that we're gonna have hip hop dancing.
Okay.
There might be some ballet though.
Yes, and there will be ballet. Yes.
I really
not
don't
might
do
be.
it like
There
that.
will.
Oh, you do ballet as well.
I do.
All right. Everything she does is not going to be in the show notes. Same for Soqi. Because they over here hiding. See, you're hiding your gifts.
Next time you gotta write it down. Make a whole list, But yeah, there will be ballet as well. And not what I was describing as in the Lion King audition. But it's gonna be some really nice dancing. We got pop locking. You gotta think about this as Shauna named it the gangsta gospel.
I did.
Wow.
Gangsta
I did.
gospel, and I
was
loved
like,
it.
if I was like, if you got a little gangster or a lot, but you love Jesus, then this is the place where you need to be.
Definitely. I mean, because not to give this production away, but the main character, like I said, it shows the journey of him wanting to go, be redeemed or whatever. And so he's in this lifestyle that family brought him into. So his exit out, he thinks, is going to be easy because this is my family. But the family was a lot more harsh on him, concerning it. If you've ever seen Power on Stars, if you've ever seen Raising Canaan, or I'm trying to think of some other shows, not Power, Empire, things like that. It's relatively close, but those are TV shows. This is a stage production. You've never seen that on stage. Besides, this was written well before Power, Empire, Raising Canaan, any of that. Written well before then. Like I said, 2012. Look, I'm gonna stick to that because I need you to understand that 2012 is when I wrote this. So if you look up the dates that all these other TV shows were produced, it was not 2012. Okay, it was well after. But I'm just giving that relation because that gives you the idea of what will be on stage. But it's a musical because you will see those that will be singing. Like I said, again, hip hop dancing. There'll be hip hop music, but most of the music is hip hop. It is like Christian hip hop, or it's like inspiration hip hop.
And a band. You have a band?
Yes, and a live band. How could I forget that as well? But the live band will be there. The name of the band is Time Flight Band, TYME. Yeah, TYME Flight. I think it's FLYTE as well. So it's Time Flight Band that will be in that Time Flight Band. One of the lead singers in the band happens to be an actress in my production, whereas she came to audition for me, and then I introduced her to the band, and she became the lead singer of the band. So that's a whole
wow. See, showing up. So just show up. Just do your reps in the gym, and then show up, and then boom. Dang, all right.
Exactly. So I mean that pretty much sums it up, because I feel like I talk about it more, I'm giving the play away, and right. I need you to come out and be that witness to say that production was amazing. Hey, give your feedback, whatever. But again, like I said, this production has really brought an occurrence to change some people's lives. Some of the people that are purchasing tickets have seen the show before.
Wow.
And then there's others that are looking to actually put vans and buses together to come out. This is just the feedback that I've been getting.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to that, and a lot of people that can relate to this type of lifestyle, to show, hey, I see you and I understand you, because a lot of people that are in the game want out. They want to get out, and they just feel that they have no way out because this is all they know. But just understanding that sometimes it does take you having a relationship with the Father yourself to know, I do have a way out. I just have to believe, connecting your belief with, your actions,
I just had a spark in my brain of like, tell me if it's wrong, but it's almost like, so it takes a lot of courage to leave anything where it's like, that was the only life I knew, and now I'm stepping into the unknown completely without a support system, which we've talked so much about. So that's what it sounds like. I just got that. Even if it's like the street life, if you leave it, your friends are there. All you know is there, like where you feel like you know how to move, and so you're going into this whole new world where it's like, I don't know what's happening. Is that correct?
And that's correct, because I mean, just even thinking about my own personal life, when I started having children back, of course, the family was like questioning over and over again, what are you doing? What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? Blah, blah, blah. And I had to get to a point. That's why I say when I was younger, when I first started having my children, I didn't like to tell people how many kids I had, because I felt like I was going to be judged. And it was times where we go to places out to eat that would accommodate our families, such as like, GC, Golden Corral, or whatever. And I would see people when we walk in, they're like, we're walking in, the kids are coming in, and they're like,
the school trip.
And I'd be like, it's 8, all right? It's 8. You need help counting, it's 8. And my husband would be like, it's okay. It's okay. I'm like, no, because I don't like, but I had to teach myself to be confident in whatever it is that I have going on.
Yeah.
And so it just got to a place where I had to shut out the noise from, from opinions of family, opinions of people, opinions of the world, or what it's supposed to look like. Like, the average household may have up to 4, and that's a lot,
Right.
but it's like, no, double that for me,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
it's like, but I'm still,
and it's stressful living under, trying to contort yourself to what people's ideas, what you think the ideal you looks like.
right.
Yeah.
That is exhausting.
Yeah.
I still do it sometimes. I'm not gonna say so, but when I free myself here and there, I'm like, ooh, it feels so good. Just be
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
But you have to
Yes.
learn that,
Yeah.
because there's so many, like I was saying earlier, the shoulds. There's so many messages about what we should be, and when you're going against those messages, it doesn't feel easy.
Right.
So you have to retrain your mind almost. So
and it's typically not normal to push for your dream, because it's almost like, okay, you have kids now, forget your dreams, and I'm like, absolutely not.
yeah,
Absolutely not. I include my kids in my dreams, and I think that's what helps not to have such this division or this discord as much, because it's like, like I said, no household is perfect. Our household is not perfect at all.
Right.
Some people are like, are y'all gonna do a TV show or YouTube? Y'all gonna be YouTubers? And I'm like, eventually I'll make it there one day, but right now, no.
No.
But what was I saying? It's let me get back on my thought process. Like, the stigma of how things should be,
Mhm.
and that's what I was saying. Like, even with this, when we were talking about your environment, it's like, for me, I just felt confined at the time because I felt like I had to live up to my family's expectations and what my family thought it should look like. It's like, well, yeah, like we were saying, you have kids now, forget about what you're trying to do. And it was almost kind of like, in the beginning, kind of made fun of, like, a play. You're trying to do a play, but then when I did it and everybody showed up to it, it was like, wow.
Yeah.
It's like all that negative talk had to cease.
Right.
Because it's like, I did it.
I did it.
Yeah, exactly. I love the way you did that, honey. Like, shut it, okay? Don't say nothing to me. But and when I went overseas, going to a whole other country, it's like, I have 8 kids, and to them, it was like, great. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, that's normal for them, So it's like, when I said it, it was almost like, okay, no weird reaction. I'm like, no weird reaction from you guys, but I had to think, I'm in a whole other country. This is something that they value.
Yeah.
It's family. Large size families is not unique to them. It's not odd, from where I went, other countries maybe
right.
like, but I'm just saying, just coming out of my environment, my normal element, my normal, what seemed normal environment, and going into a whole other, it gave me a wider perception, like a greater view of the meaning of being free to be yourself. Because it's like, okay, once you come out of, and I'm relating it to this. I'm trying my best to relate it to this, because it's like, I know what I'm trying to say. But in the production, like we were saying, the environment of the main character is like, this is what I know. And to come out of it, it seems a little abnormal, but the abnormal is what's better for them. And so that's what I was saying, even in my personal life, it's like, the norm is feel funny because this is your life, feel funny because you're trying to pursue a dream, and you got all these responsibilities, but then when I came out of it, it's like, this is great for me.
Yeah.
I can do this.
And nobody can tell you who to be. Like, you can't tell me who I'm going to be,
Right.
or what I'm capable of. I don't receive that.
Right.
Period. So
Right.
that's what you had to do.
Yeah.
And that's what it sounds like the character had to do too.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like, you can't tell me I'm stuck here, because I'm not.
Right.
Right?
Because, like I said, it shows so many stumbling blocks that he goes through that tries to keep him there. But I want you to come out and see how he ends up, whether he stays and can't get out, or if he goes and makes it out. So, and
everybody can relate to being somewhere that they want a different situation. And you get a live band, you get dance, you get amazing acting, and you get singing. So you get everything at one night. And theater is very different than movies, like the experience of sitting in the audience and hearing live music and live instruments. I'm assuming it's live instruments, right? That is very, very different than, just the radio or watching a movie. Different experience. So go out and see the show. Deliver Our Mail, y'all. The title alone, Mail, M-A-L-E. Like, and Shauna, did you want to add anything?
I think that we have said it all.
Okay. I just didn't want to leave you out. I want you to feel heard and seen.
I love that. I love that. I feel heard. I feel seen. But yeah, just come out, support us, support this. And there's something in there for everybody. You know, there's the message, there's people who love to see theater.
Yeah.
There's the acting community, there's the entertainment community. Yeah, and it's from, and it was like created here, you know, created in Atlanta, created by, you know, Kiana. So it's just like, you know, it's very interactive. I think that's like what you were what you were saying, that with live theater, it kind of brings you into the story in a way that sometimes TV and film aren't able to do.
Right,
the
right.
emotion is like it grabs at your emotion. You know, you got the speakers coming into your ears. You know, the rhythm. You know, it's just different live, like you said.
And you get to see people's babies. You get to see vulnerability. We're gifting this to the world. We're like, I'm in it, but it's being gifted to the world, and people have worked on their crafts for so long, and then you get to see those expressions. So I think it is important to go. And I'm going to close this out. Okay. Thank y'all for being here. So thank you so much, Soqi and Shauna, for sharing your time with me and inspiring our listeners to redefine success for themselves. You can find out more about Soqi on...
Yes. You can find more about it. I'm going to give 2 platforms to visit. Soqi Music, which is SOQI MUSIC. That is my original music page, but it shows a lot of Deliver Our Mail, my writing, different things, my performances. So that's mainly for me, myself, as the writer, the producer. And then also visit Deliver Our Mail. So Deliver Our, MALE, and all of this on Instagram, the Instagram platform. I do have Deliver Our Mail on YouTube. And we're still building that page, you know. Yep, Deliver Our Mail is on YouTube as well. Do I have one? I don't think I have one. Okay. Anyway,
and you can get tickets on Eventbrite. Deliver Our MALE mail at .eventbrite.com.
Yes.
And it'll also be in the show notes. Look at the show notes, y'all.
Yes.
And click stuff on there.
Just click stuff.
Just click stuff. And then Shauna, they can find out more about you on
IG, Shauna Stanley Actress, or on Facebook, Shauna Stanley. I'm there. You'll find me.
You get to see Shauna act.
Yeah, you get to see me act. And then I also have some Tubi projects coming up. So it's all going to be on my IG page. So I got some Tubi, Peacock, Amazon Prime, Energy.
Wow.
That's out there. That's out there.
Check it out, y'all.
I can't say that. I was like recently casted, but I can't say the title yet. But I was recently cast.
You know she good. She booked and busy.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, but I know Stick 'em Up Game is going to be on. Oh, I pressed the button. I just want to make sure it's still green.
Yes. Oh, but it's blinking. So I think you got to hold it.
All right, here. I'm going to let you. I just got excited about these projects that I can start, clicking stuff. Are we on?
Yeah.
Are we good?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to start.
Yeah. No, but it got you.
Okay. So I've got, so Stick 'em Up Game is going to hit Tubi, Amazon Prime, Peacock on October 4th.
Okay.
And I play an influencer on that. And then I have a couple of other things that I'm on those same platforms.
You'll have to come back on the show. And you, do you have an agent? That's that note.
I do.
Oh, okay. I want to talk about that. Okay.
Yeah.
I got to go so I can ask them more questions.
Yeah, so book me.
So check the show notes. Check them out on Instagram and YouTube. And go to Eventbrite for the tickets here. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Again, we asking for a lot, but also subscribe to the You Plus Happy YouTube channel. It's very helpful. And you'll get notified of the shows each week. And you can also follow me on Instagram at Selena_Marche or You Plus Happy at You Plus Happy on Instagram. And it's all typed out one word. And there's two guests. I asked the guests to say the tagline. Y'all can say it together with your, but the tagline is, we'll show you our definition of success if you show us yours.
Okay. Ready? We'll show you our definition of success if you show us yours.
Ooh. Y'all killed it though.
Did we?
I think we should retake
You
it.
want to do it again?
Okay, one time. Okay, ready?
We'll show you our definition of success if you show us yours.
Okay, ready? And we'll show you our definition of success if you show us yours.
What? Go see the play Deliver Our Mail.
One night only. One night only.
Thank you for listening, y'all. Thank you for being here. And scene.